our pantry has been an ongoing project for me. I have organized it and reorganized it and redone it several times already. It ends up looking like chaos. It is probably one of the most used spaces in our house. Our fridge is in our pantry as well. The boys' snacks are kept in there. A lot of other storage happens in there. It descends into chaos way too often. Then add on top of that, that hectic grocery trip that we take, and then we're offloading groceries as we're trying to make dinner. Pantry items go all over. It stresses me out that this space is not more organized, mostly because when I'm cooking or baking, I can't ever get easily to what I need. I'm super grateful to have a separate little room as a pantry. I always think it's such a shame that even though I organize it, I declutter it, and I create order in my pantry, it just always goes back. I'm not sure if any of you experience the same problem. If you do, please let me know below. My name is Tereza. I live on a small farm in the heart of Europe. I do a bunch of content about cooking from scratch, lots of sourdough, living on a homestead, raising farm animals, horses, cows, chickens, and 2 little boys to go along with it. So I decided to make an end to that. Invested a little bit of money on some organizational items, but I didn't want to go all plastic. You know, we live on a homestead that is over 100 years old. I love the vintage aesthetic. I am going to take you along with me as I tackle this tiny space today in my house. I haven't really pre-planned what I'm doing, except for I measured out my shelves and I calculated how many crates and things I'm going to need. Other than that, I don't really know how it's going to turn out. You're going to have to stay tuned until the end. But first, let's make some coffee. I need a little pick-me-up before tackling this, what feels like, giant project. And I wonder if it's gonna be one of those that, you know, you really build up in your head, like this giant, huge deal, and then it's actually done and over within an hour, and the result is so satisfying that you wonder, why did I never start this beforehand? Why did I let this go so long? So we will see. A little background about our pantry. I already mentioned that we have our fridge in there. I also store things that I can in there. Part of this pantry rehaul is moving that elsewhere. We are going to declutter another area, another space that we have available to us here. Going forward, all of my canned stuff is going to go there. I am planning on doing a lot more canning this year. I'm planning on ordering a pressure canner, which, complete side note, is not available here at all. I'm gonna order it from Denmark, I think. This will be my first foray into pressure canning. I've done water bath canning plenty, but not pressure canning. Say a little prayer for me. If you have any tips, please share them below. I also have all of my fermentations projects in here, and I think I'm actually gonna keep those. The other area is kind of cool, and it's a little walk away. I can't really keep an eye out on it as well as I can on my pantry. So I think I'm gonna keep my kombucha, my cider, whatever other fermenting I'm doing in here. So I need to allocate that area. I also store potatoes and other produce that I don't put in the fridge, but I use daily in my kitchen here. Whatever is extra, I store elsewhere, so that's fine, but I need space for that. And then I need some space for all my baking flour, which one of my resolutions for this year is that I'm gonna grind more of my own flour. I do some of that, but not nearly enough. I still buy a lot of flour. I want to start veering away from that, or at least buying directly from the mill. And of course, then there's all the snacks, and we also store some appliances. I think I'm gonna get rid of most of those. Let's take a look what's in there. Our pantry is a separate little room, but as you can see, it is pretty deep. And I do think that the built-in shelves are organized pretty well. And anyways, I was not going to be redoing the built-in shelving. I just wanted a way to keep our pantry looking organized and neat, and for it to be very user-friendly. So we very often stash away things here that we don't want the kids getting at, especially well, we have 2 toddlers now theoretically, but the baby, the younger one, he just grabs everything. And so it's so nice to have a separate little room where we can put breakable items and other items that we don't want him to get at. But at the same time, I did not want it looking like this. You can see all of my baking supplies there, little snacks for the kids. There's honey, there's peanut butter, there's my baking baskets for my sourdough bread. We also keep our ice maker in there. Just everything all over the place. So my mission here is to keep most things that are in there put in there, remove what we don't use on the daily, and organize it in a super hyper simple way. Through a simple little Google search, I saw that many people struggle with the organization of a deep pantry, and that in general, pantry organization, it's a pretty hot topic. So that made me feel better about our pantry. This is not an area of my house that I was proud of, and that also bothered me. And so what I decided to do is I invested a little bit of money and bought these really gorgeous wood IKEA crates. There's many other things out on the market. I found them to be pretty expensive, and really all that I needed was utility, and I did not want to use plastic. You can see that the basket that I had right there is plastic, but that's something I already had, and I am very big on shopping my house. So when I feel the need for something, the first thing that I do is I look through my house and the whole homestead and see if there is something here already that I can use before I start bringing in new things. Yes, this is great for finances, but even more than that, and more importantly than that, I hate bringing in clutter. I find that the more clutter I have in my house, the more things I have to clean, the less time I have to do what I actually love having to do. So even when I'm just cleaning up an area of our house, if I find that I am handling something, touching something over and over and over again, and I don't even see the kids playing with it, and it doesn't serve any other utility in our house, I just get rid of it now, because I see that object as a thief of my very precious time. And so that is what I was doing here. If I could find it in my house, I used it and reused it and repurposed it. But for those crates, I really couldn't. I'm going to tell you later on in the video, I did run into a little snafu where, I really should have called my husband to help me measure those shelves. He is the best at all this. I'm decent, but clearly not as good. I measured my shelves to make sure my crates are going to fit. I forgot about the really thick lip on the sides of the shelves. So my initial plan of fitting 2 large crates per shelf didn't work out, but I actually think it may have turned out for the best. You're going to see how I figured it out. I was also really happy to get rid of things that we don't use on the daily, appliances that we stored in there that we use maybe once or twice a year. I just moved to the garage and to other storage areas where, yes, we're going to have to run out and get them, but it is so worth it. And on the other hand, I moved things in that we do use
all the time. So our ice maker is definitely staying, and some other larger items that seem bulky but carry a lot of utility for us stayed. I used this whole pantry decluttering project as an opportunity to run an inventory on everything that we have food-wise. And I allowed my kids to finish off all the snacks that we have, but this kind of drew a line on our store-bought snacks. We are generally not very big on those, but coming off of a really busy time of shooting a film and other things, if you don't know about those, you should follow me over on Instagram. We had gotten into this habit of just buying some things that we don't normally buy, like those pretzels that I'm wrapping up right now. And I am pretty much done with it. So just this past week, I did a giant pantry restock session. Now that my pantry is all organized, I decided to restock it with all the homemade goodness. If you are interested in that, please hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss this new video coming out. It will come out in about a week or two, and when you subscribe, you are going to be notified.
I am done with the pantry overhaul. It definitely took a lot longer than I thought. And I did run into a snafu where even though I measured my shelves, I forgot that there is a very large lip on the shelves. I actually thought that I was gonna put 2 of the big crates on each shelf. Turns out that doesn't fit. But I think I found a good workaround, and I am very pleased with how it turned out. I do think that this is gonna be a work in progress, especially as I start adding more grains that I'm gonna be milling to my repertoire, phasing out of all store-bought snacks, which we already do very little of, but my kids do have 1 or 2 favorite things we buy, and I think I'm just done. I'm actually gonna make a larger assortment of homemade snacks going forward. So I think I'm going to have to adjust the pantry a little bit to that, and especially my grain needs as we extend our fermentation project. For the most part, I am massively pleased. It looks really neat and organized. Everything feels secure. I removed the things that we don't use daily and replaced it with things that we do. Generally, it just feels kind of set up and sturdy and like I know where everything goes, and I think this is going to be a great system going forward. So come take a look.
Here it is, my finished pantry. I call this a very realistic homestead pantry, okay? As a homesteader, I still need lots of things. You can see I still kept some of my canning items there, but everything is really nicely organized and accessible. And it has now been about a month since I actually did this, from the time that I'm recording this voiceover, and I'm so proud to say that my pantry still looks exactly the same and organized. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button down below so you never miss a new video, and I'll see you all next week.